Hello, Algebra 1. I wanted to make sure that all of you feel comfortable that you're going to be watching your computer each day when you come to class, the video on your computer. Please turn the language, so when you look at a video on YouTube, and I'll just go to one of mine. So if you were to watch this video, I want to make sure you know how to go through and find your language. So make sure the closed captioning is highlighted. Okay, if it's not, it'll be, so now it's on. Okay, and then what you can do is figure out, hitting the gear, subtitles, and then pick your language. So hit auto translate and find language. So most of you, I think it's Spanish, but whatever language you learn best in, do that. So now keep your microphone or the volume down on your computer and just read this. Okay, this will be all of the problems that we go through. Now this is just something we worked out the other day. So, but I want to make sure that you understand how to find the language on your computer. Okay, you let me know if you have any problems. I want to go over page 79, and I had assigned you problems 1 through 8. I'm going to go through these in detail. Take any notes you need to on your assignment. So the first one is x minus 4 is greater than 5. So what we want to do, the directions say on the top of page 79, solve each linear inequality and write it in interval notation. Okay, so this is ready to solve it. Solve it just like we've been solving. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. The reason I add 4 is that's opposite of negative 4. So those cancel out, so I get x is greater than 9. Now, I always think it's kind of important to put it on a number line. So we have it just greater than, so this is going to be an open circle. If there was a line underneath it, it would be a closed circle. And I want values greater than 9, so I'm going to shade to the right. And all the way to the right is a number called infinity, which is this sideways 8. Now, in order to write the interval notation, you do the interval notation going from the left to the right. Okay, so this starts at 9 and it goes to infinity. Infinity always has a parenthesis. Then we have to look, is this going to be a square bracket or a parenthesis? In this case, because it's an open dot, because we don't have an equal sign, it's also a parenthesis. Make sure you copy down whatever you need. If you have any questions, you're free to ask me during class, okay? So just raise your hand. I'm happy to stop what I'm teaching and come help you. Problem number 2. First thing you want to do is you want to flip the whole problem over. You want the x, or the variable, to be on the left side. So I just flipped the entire problem over. Now I'm going to go ahead and treat the inequality sign like an equal sign. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. These cancel, so x is greater than or equal to 1. So let's put that on a number line. So I have 0 here, I have 1 here. Because I have this line right here, this is going to be a solid dot on the 0, because we include it, and I want values bigger than 1. So I'm going to shade to the right. Now realize I'm shading to the right, so that's going to infinity again. That sideways 8 means infinity. So reading this from left to right, it's going to be done this way. So I'm going to go from 1 to infinity. Infinity always has a parenthesis. Well, on the last problem, we had an open circle. This one's a closed circle, so the 1 is going to be a square bracket. Problem number 3, we have y minus 2 is less than negative 2. We're ready to start solving it. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I get y is less than 0. So if we put that on a number line, we have 0 right here. It's going to be an open dot on the 0 because we don't have the little line underneath the inequality. I want values less than, so this arrow points to the direction that we're going to shade. We're going to shade to the left. Now, if we shade to the left, we get to something called negative infinity. Again, I'm going to read this from left to right. Okay, so I go from negative infinity, remember it's a parenthesis, comma, to 0. The 0 is an open dot, so it's still a parenthesis. If it was a closed dot, it would be a square bracket. Problem number 4. We get negative 9x is greater than or equal to 27. So this is ready to start solving. I'm going to divide each side by a negative 9. If you multiply or you divide to get the letter by itself, if that number happens to be negative, so negative and negative, the sign is going to flip. So these cancel. This sign has to flip over. See how it went a different way? It was going this way. Now it's going this way. And 27 divided by negative 9, if you had a calculator, it's going to be negative 3. Go ahead and put this on a number line. So I have negative 3 here. I have 0 on the right side of that. Okay, so this is going to be a solid dot on the negative 3 because we have the equal sign, and we're going to shade it to the left. That's going to negative infinity. So now I'm going to go from negative infinity to negative 3. It's a solid dot, so this is going to be a square bracket. Again, the infinity always has a rounded bracket. Number 5, we have 60 is greater than 12x. Okay, I want the x to be on the right side, so I'm going to flip everything over. So the sign's going to flip this way. Okay, it didn't flip because I multiplied or divided by a negative number. It flipped because I wanted to rotate the whole problem over. I'm going to divide both sides by 12. And 60 over 12 on a calculator comes out to 5. Put a little number line, so I get 0 here, I get 5 here. Note, I'm not worried about how you're spacing it, just if you're to the right or to the left, 0. It's an open dot on the 5. This arrow points the direction we're going to shade as long as the letter's on the left side. So that goes to negative infinity. So we go from negative infinity to 5, and it's a round parenthesis because it's not a solid dot. We don't have the equal sign. Problem number 6, we have 5 is less than n divided by negative 8. Okay, I want to flip the whole problem over because I want the n on the left side, so the sign flips over. The sign did not flip over because we multiplied or divided by a negative number. It flipped over because I flipped the whole problem over. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 8. Being I multiplied both sides by a negative, the sign is going to flip back to the other way. And then 5 times negative 8 is negative 40. So on a number line, you don't have to have it perfectly scaled, but you can just write it like this, where you know that negative 40 is to the left of 0. So negative 40 is here. It's an open dot because I don't have an equal sign. This arrow points the direction we shade, so it's going to go to negative infinity. So from negative infinity to negative 40, and this is a parenthesis as well because it's an open dot. Number 7, we have this. Okay, so let's clear the fraction. Okay, it's on the left side, so I'm going to multiply this side by 5 and this side by 5. Those cancel, so I get 3x is greater than 15 times 5 is 75. Divide both sides by 3. Those cancel. X is greater than 25. It didn't flip over or anything. So if I have 0 over here, I have 25 right here. It's an open dot on 25 because I don't have an equal sign. This tells me as long as the X or the letter is on the left side, it tells me which direction to shade. So we're going to go this way. So that's going to infinity. So it's going to be a soft bracket or a parenthesis at 25 to infinity. And the infinity also has a parenthesis. That's the interval notation. We're going to now go over to page 81, and we're going to work a few problems. Problem number 1, we have x minus 8 is less than or equal to negative 3. This is ready to start solving, so let's add 8 to both sides. Those cancel. X is less than or equal to 5. Put it on number line. 0's here, 5's here. It's going to be a solid dot because I have the equal sign here, so a solid dot. And the arrow points the direction we're going to shade, so that's going to go to negative infinity. So I go from negative infinity to 5. This is going to be a square bracket. Okay, we're going to skip around this page a little bit. Maybe let's go down to number 9. Number 9, we have 2x minus 3 parentheses x minus 2 is less than is less than or equal to -7. Okay, a couple things we want to take care of first. It's all set up right, but this -3, I'm going to distribute over the parentheses first. So I'm going to get 2x. -3 times x is -3x. -3 times +2, or -2 is +6. Notice the parentheses went away because I distributed over. These are like terms. So I'm going to get -x plus 6 is less than or equal to -7. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. Those cancel. I get to -13. Now I can't have a -x, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by -1. Because I multiply by a -1, that becomes a positive. This sign has to flip over. So x is greater than or equal to 13. So I'm going to have 0 here. I have 13 down here. It's going to be a solid dot on the 13, and it's going to shade to the right. That goes to infinity. Our interval notation will go from 13 to infinity. Infinity always has a parenthesis. This is going to be a square bracket on 13 because it's a solid dot. We have the equal sign. And let's take a look at number 12. Let's get rid of the fraction first. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. So this cancels this, so I have 5 parentheses 4x minus 8 is less than 4 times, or 15 times 4 is 60. I can now distribute the 5 over the parentheses, so I'm going to get 20x minus 40 is less than 60. And let's go ahead and start solving it. I'm going to add 40 to both sides. Those cancel, so I get 20x is less than 100. Divide both sides by 20. 100 divided by 20 is going to be just 5. Okay, the x is on the left side. That's good. We have a 0 here. We have a 5 here. It's going to be an open dot on the 5, and we're going to go to the left, shading it. So that's going to shade to -infinity. So our interval notation will go from -infinity, that's always a parenthesis, to 5. It'll be a parenthesis here as well because it's an open dot. It doesn't have the equal sign with it. Okay, on page 80, that was last night's homework, so let's take a look at that. Okay, problem number 13 says a good room temperature is between 65 and 75. Okay, so all we have to do is we're going to write the inequality. So a good temperature is between 65 and 75. Now, if I wanted to write this in interval notation, 65, comma, 75, both soft brackets. Let's look at number 14. It says a student should have no more than 4 hours of homework. So could you have 0 hours of homework? Yes. Could you have up to 4? Yes. So it should have no more than 4 hours. Okay? And then that's the equation. So the interval notation would go from 0 to 4. Okay, that's not a point. That's the interval notation. Number 15, water in a 20-gallon fish tank. 20-gallon fish tank is decreasing as it is drained for cleaning. Okay, so you're going to have at most 20 gallons and as little as 0 gallons. So you could write it like that because you have exactly 20, you could have exactly 0 when it's empty. The interval notation is going to look like this. Square bracket at the 0, square bracket at the 20. Number 16 says the number of students in a classroom can't exceed 31. Can I have 0 people in the class? Sure. When there's nobody in my classroom, there's nobody here. And we can't exceed 31. So we could have that. We can't go above 31. So my interval notation is going to be a square bracket 0 to a square bracket 31. 17. There are fewer than 170 days left of school this year. Okay, there's fewer than 170 days left of school. Could there be 0? Yeah. So actually, I don't need this part. There's fewer than 170 days. So think about this. We could have a maximum of, or a minimum of 0 days of school left. We could have less than 170 and that's going to be a round bracket. Okay. Your homework is going to be to finish page 79, and we're going to do 9 through 12 on page 79. And then on page 81, I would like you to do, already did quite a few, so go ahead and do 1 through 17. Try all those. I hope this video works out. I will continue to do this for you. Please ask me questions if you need these questions answered, and I'm happy to help you with your math, okay? Have a nice day, my friends. Bye-bye. Bye.